you know, it's pretty hard to ignore when you see this constant stream of cyber attacks hitting government websites,
Yeah, definitely.
especially between 2024 and 2025. I mean, Uruguay's online systems, they faced a real onslaught.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like me, you want to, cut through all the noise and really get what's happening and why it actually matters.
Exactly.
So that's what we're doing today. Welcome to the deep dive.
We're taking a really close look at a pretty detailed analysis of these cyber incidents. We're focusing specifically on that .gov.iy domain.
Right, the government sites.
Yeah. And our sources, they're pretty varied. We got data from CERTUI, that's Uruguay's Computer Emergency Response Team.
Okay.
Then there's news reports, some interesting bits from the attackers themselves, actually.
Really? Okay.
And, of course, official government statements. Think of this as like getting you completely up to speed on a pretty critical issue, but without you having to wade through pages and pages of reports.
Precisely. We're going to unpack the timeline, how these attacks happened, how they were disclosed or not disclosed,
Right.
and how the authorities responded. And there are definitely some surprising twists in this.
Oh, for sure.
So our mission today, it's clear. Understand the scope, the real impact, figure out who the key players are, and get a proper sense of how Uruguay is actually handling this evolving threat. Okay, so let's get into it, starting with just the sheer number of incidents.
Okay, yeah, let's look at the CERTUI data. So in 2024, they recorded, wait for it, 14,264 cyber incidents.
Whoa, 14,000.
Yeah. And to put that in perspective, in 2023, it was 4,968.
So nearly triple.
Almost triple, yeah. And this isn't just a one-off spike. The trend's been going up pretty steadily since 2019. It really paints a picture of, a rapidly escalating threat.
That's a huge jump. So what kind of attacks are we talking about here? Was it mostly one thing or?
No, it was quite a mix. Phishing was definitely big.
Always is.
Always is. But also lots of unauthorized access attempts, malware trying to get in, direct intrusion attempts, and even like proactive breaches specifically targeting state systems.
Okay.
What's interesting, though, is what Hebert Pagua said. He's the director of AGSEC.
Ah, the e-government agency, right? Big player in this.
Exactly. He sort of acknowledged that, yes, this increase fits with global trends, but he also suggested that maybe Uruguay is just getting better at detecting these things.
Ah, so it could be a bit of both. More attacks and better visibility.
Probably, yeah, that seems likely.
So these weren't just like theoretical pings on a server. They were actually hitting government sites, .gov.iy sites, causing real problems.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're talking websites crashing, systems going down, and maybe more worryingly, some pretty significant data leaks from different government bodies.
Okay, data leaks, that's where it gets really serious.
Definitely. And that brings us to the big question, who is actually doing this? Which leads us to that name, or alias we keep seeing, gov.f.
Right, gov.f. That name pops up a lot, but it sounds like it might not be just one person using it.
That's a really crucial point, yeah. This gov.f thing.
Yeah.
It's more like a nexus, not a single group or person. We see the alias used by different people in different situations.
Okay, let's break that down. Who are these different gov.f figures? There's Alberto Daniel Hill, the Uruguayan cybersecurity guy. He's got a bit of a history, hasn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
Hill is, well, he's a known figure in Uruguayan cybersecurity. He's actually been in prison before.
Okay.
And he's been very vocal, very critical of the government's cybersecurity posture. He has used the gov.f alias. He even admitted hacking at El Paso.
The newspaper website, not a government site then.
Exactly, not gov.hi. And he's specifically denied being involved in other attacks, like the one on Buqueves Turismo. His whole angle seems to be about exposing weaknesses, pushing for better security.
Sort of a controversial white hat, maybe? Using hacking skills for what he sees as good, even if it's illegal.
You could maybe see it that way, yeah. Though his methods are definitely controversial. He aims to highlight flaws.
Okay. Then there's this Argentine hacker, also using gov.f.
Yes, reportedly a 22-year-old from Argentina. He, along with someone called H4by0R1337, hit Argentine government sites and the news site perfil.com.
Okay, and their motivation. Was it political, like some of the others?
Surprisingly, no. Or at least that's what they claimed for the Argentine hacks. They said it was just for fun, boredom. They explicitly denied political motives there.
That's quite different from the Uruguayan situation.
It is. And this individual also made some pretty disturbing statements, self-identifying as National Socialist and making anti-Semitic remarks.
Okay, yeah.
So while we can't definitively link this Argentine gov.s to the gov.ay attacks in Uruguay, the shared alias is definitely notable. It suggests maybe a connection or at least a shared identity in certain online circles.
And then the TV Ciudad attack, that also used the gov.f name.
Right. April 2025. TV Ciudad, the TV station's website, got defaced, this time with AI-generated compromising images of politicians.
Oh, wow. AI images.
Yeah. And threats against the Chamber of Commerce, too. Again, not a gov.ay site, but same alias, targeting political figures. It fits the pattern thematically.
So gov.f feels less like one person, more like a flag, maybe, a shared handle.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And then the day F part, does that mean anything? Ethereum name service?
Exactly. It's linked to the Ethereum blockchain. It's a decentralized naming system. Using it might signal, an interest in crypto or decentralized tech, maybe an anti-establishment vibe.
Or it could just be a memorable handle.
Or just that, yeah. It adds another layer, though, to their online persona.
Okay. We've also seen other groups name, haven't we? Like La Pampa Leaks?
Yes, absolutely. Lap Leaks, Bogota Leaks, and another one, Uruguay 1337. They were linked to the Dynasia hack, that's the Civil Aviation Authority.
Right.
These groups seem to be based in Argentina, and their messages were very political.
Right.
Anti-progressive, anti-corruption stuff.
Right. Okay, so clearly political hacktivism there. And then you have groups like Alpha Group. Different motivation entirely.
Totally different. Alpha Group is a known ransomware gang operating globally. They were behind that massive attack on the Intendencia de Paysandú, the city government there. Purely financial motive, presumably.
Right, ransomware. And what about this name, Vladdy? He seems to connect some dots.
Vladdy is.
Yeah.
Interesting. He was apparently arrested in Uruguay for hacking. Hubber Emmanuel Hill knows him, claims he's being scapegoated.
Okay.
But then the Argentine gov.f also mentioned a friend named Vladdy who was in prison.
Same guy? Or just coincidence?
Unclear. But it hints at, possible links within these hacking circles.
It really paints the picture of just a whole range of different actors, different skills, different reasons for attacking Uruguay. Must make defending against it incredibly difficult.
Exactly right. You've got politically motivated hacktivists, maybe lone actors using a shared alias, organized cybercrime groups. This diversity really underlines why you need a multifaceted defense. A one-size-fits-all approach just won't cut it.
Okay, let's dig into some of these attacks more deeply. The Dynasia hack, the civil aviation one, that got a lot of press, didn't it?
It did. March 2025. Happened right on Uruguayan Air Force Day, which feels intentional.
Symbolism.
Yeah. They defaced the website using DNS poisoning.
Yeah.
Basically hijacking the site's address.
And that was possible because of a specific security lapse.
Correct. The servers managing Dynasia's domain name, run by a company called pixelado.ui, didn't have DNS-SEC enabled. DNS security extensions.
Explain DNS-SEC quickly, like a security check for the Internet's address book.
Pretty much, yeah. The domain name system is the Internet's phone book. DNS poisoning is like someone scribbling a fake number in it, sending you to the wrong place. Yeah. DNS-SEC is like a digital signature that verifies the entry is legit and hasn't been tampered with.
So no signature check? The hackers could redirect traffic.
Exactly. They redirected users to their own page.
And what was on that page? You mentioned political messages.
Yeah, anti-progressive slogans, stuff against the 2030 agenda, corruption accusations, and they also leaked some personal info. President Orsi's phone number, an ID photo, and the ID photo of a G6 security director.
But the hackers claim they got more than just that, right? Emails and stuff.
They did claim wider access, yes. But officials pushed back on that. They suggested the personal data probably came from older, unrelated leaks, or was public anyway. Not from a deep hack of Dynasia's systems.
So a bit of a PR battle there. Hackers claiming a big win, government downplaying it.
Exactly. A real battle for perception about how bad the breach actually was.
And who took responsibility? La Pampa Leaks and those other groups?
Yes, La Pampa Leaks, Bogota Leaks, and Uruguay 1337 claimed it. Believed to be Argentine-based and clearly politically motivated from their messages.
How did Uruguay respond officially?
Well, they got the website back online pretty fast, like within 5 hours.
Okay, that's not bad.
No. And they launched an investigation involving the police cybercrime unit and a GSIC. The president's office denied any major breach beyond the defacement. But importantly, it really highlighted the need for DNSEC everywhere, like a wake-up call.
Okay, Then moving on, around the same time, March 2025, the National Directorate of Civil Identification, DNIC, was hit too. That also involved the president's info.
Yes, DNIC was also targeted. And similarly, Orsi's photo and phone number were published, plus the AG6 security director's photo again. But here, there were reports, apparently from DNSC sources, suggesting internal files were actually accessed.
Okay. So that could potentially be more serious than Dinesha, data-wise.
Potentially, yeah. AG6 Director Mordecki also suspected political motives here. The Interior Minister acknowledged the incident publicly. They made an arrest.
An arrest was made, okay.
Yeah, investigation ongoing. And Senator Nain asked for a formal report, so clearly it raised concerns at a high level.
Yeah, DNIC holds everyone's ID data. That's
Right.
pretty sensitive stuff to be vulnerable.
Extremely. And look, the state of DNI systems wasn't exactly a secret. Back in 2022, the Interior Minister at the time called their computers prehistoric.
Oof. Not reassuring.
No. It suggests a known vulnerability, a need for modernization that maybe wasn't addressed quickly enough.
Okay, then the Ministry of Social Development, MIDES.
Yeah.
Multiple breaches there. That sounds particularly bad, given the people they serve.
Yes, MIDES had at least 2 major leaks in March and April 2025. The first one, mid-March, saw about 264 internal documents and 275 ID scans leaked. The hacker, using a gov.eth variant, even threatened to leak system passwords.
Wow. Okay. And the second MIDES leak was even bigger.
Much bigger. Around April 7th, this time 37,756 documents leaked, full of sensitive personal data ID numbers, birth dates, family info, addresses, phones, emails.
Oh my God.
The attacker claimed to have data on over 290,000 households. They even posted a sample to prove it. The risk to vulnerable citizens, it's huge.
And it seems like an external cybersecurity firm reported these MIDES leaks first, not the ministry itself.
All right. Birmingham Cyber Arms Ltd. flagged both leaks, which does raise questions, about MIDES' own detection and reporting speed.
Yeah, it doesn't look great if outsiders find it first.
No. MIDES did eventually confirm a security incident, so they were investigating with Sertui and AGSIC, following data protection rules. But yeah, the initial reporting came from outside. Seems reactive.
Okay, then the Paysandu ransomware attack. That just sounds like a nightmare scenario.
It really was. July 2024, the Alpha Group hit the City Hall. Ransom demand, $650,000.
And the impact.
Catastrophic.
Yeah.
Just total paralysis. Payroll, website, the suicide vehicle system, civil registry, finance, taxes, email.
Yeah.
Everything. Gone.
Wow.
Initial reports were terrifying. Like, we lost all the backups.
Oh, no.
They had to go back to manual paper processes for everything. Imagine running a city like that.
Unbelievable. So did they pay the ransom?
No. Mayor Olivero was very public about that. They refused to pay, which is a principled stand,
Definitely. But recovery must have been brutal.
It was. AGSIC and Sertui got involved. Took months. But remarkably, by October 2024, they announced they'd recovered 100% of the data.
Really? After fearing the backups were gone. That's amazing.
Yeah, a significant recovery effort, shows resilience, even if the initial situation looked dire, but a very severe incident.
Then there was this alleged leak from AGSIC itself, the cybersecurity agency. That's ironic.
Deeply ironic, yeah. February 2025. Reports surfaced that data from their citizen service system, emails, phone numbers, maybe 500,000 records, was up for sale on breach forums for like $120 in Monero.
Wow. Sold cheap.
Yeah. Symbolically, though, a breach at the National Cyber Agency. It's not a good look.
What did AGSIC say?
Director Pogwas confirmed an investigation. Initially said no critical info was lost. Later, they reported that authorized users had exploited a vulnerability. Legal action was initiated.
Authorized users. So an inside job or maybe compromised accounts?
Sounds like it. Possibly credentials stolen through phishing or something. Pogwas apparently made a comment about suckers falling into the trap, hinting at that maybe.
Okay. And finally, that TV Ciudad defacement with the AI images. That feels like a new kind of threat, doesn't it?
It does feel like an escalation. Again, not gov.ey, but using gov.eth, targeting politicians with deepfake-style images, making threats against the Chamber of Commerce. It brings AI into the mix for disinformation and intimidation.
And TV Ciudad reported it.
Yeah, they filed a complaint with the cybercrime unit, taking it seriously.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground on the attacks themselves. How is the public actually told about all this? What are the official communication channels?
Officially, it tends to come through formal reports from AGSIC and Sertu, sometimes direct statements from AGSIC's director, Pogwas, or specific announcements from the ministry or the agency that got hit, like MIDES.
It sounds like maybe the timing and transparency haven't always been perfect.
That's That's a fair criticism in some cases. Yeah.
Yeah.
We mentioned MIDES and the alleged GZIC leak. Third parties reported those first. That can make it look like the government's playing catch-up or isn't being fully upfront.
Right. Reactive, not proactive. Sometimes. With Denacia, some felt the official line downplayed it compared to the hackers' claims. Paysandu, though, might be a better example. The mayor seemed relatively open about the problems and the recovery effort.
So, variable. And then, of course, the attackers themselves are talking directly to the public, too.
Oh, yeah. They're using website defacements, forums like breach forums to sell data or make announcements, Telegram channels. They bypass traditional media entirely sometimes.
And what's in their messages? Political stuff, threats.
All of the above. Political manifestos, ideological rants, data samples for sale, explicit threats, boasting. It's direct, often impactful communication.
So all this, the attacks, the sometimes confusing communication, what does that do to public trust in the government's ability to protect things?
It likely erodes it.
Yeah.
When official news feels slow or incomplete or maybe contradicts what attackers are claiming, it definitely doesn't build confidence.
Right. And while it raises awareness of cyber risks, it probably also creates anxiety. People worry about their data. The Data Protection Authority, URCDP, they have rules about disclosure, which adds another layer, affecting timing, what gets said.
Okay, let's shift to how the authorities are actually managing these things. We've mentioned AGSIC, CERTUI, the police cybercrime unit. What are their specific jobs here?
So AGZIC is kind of the central coordinator. They set policy, coordinate the response across government. CERTI is the technical response team under a GZIC detection, coordination, tech support during an incident.
The first responders, digitally speaking?
Kind of, yeah. Then the UNIDED, the cybercrime and the police unit, handles the investigation, the law enforcement side, trying to find who did it.
Which must be hard.
Very hard, especially if they're overseas. URCDP, the Data Protection Unit, ensures breach notification laws are followed. And then the Ministries of Interior and Defense have their own security roles, too.
So how effective have these different bodies been in practice dealing with this surge?
It's been, well, mixed again. Like we said, Dynasta's website was back up quickly.
Right.
But Paysandu took months to recover fully. Investigations are tough. Attribution is really hard in cyberspace. Remember Alberto Daniel Hill? He's been publicly critical of the police's cyber capabilities.
Okay. What about prevention? Are the right laws and security measures in place to stop this stuff?
They're working on it. Uruguay has been developing its frameworks. URCDP enforces data protection rules. There's Decree 66025 from early 2025, setting out a national cyber framework.
A recent development, then?
Relatively recent, yeah.
Yay.
And there's a national cybersecurity strategy for 2024-2030.
Hmm.
But incidents like Dynacia show basic things like DNS-SEC weren't universally implemented. Concerns about old systems like a DNIC persist.
So policies exist, but maybe implementation lags behind.
That seems to be the case. AGZIC issues guidelines. There was that IDB loan back in 2019 for digital infrastructure. But the fact these attacks keep succeeding suggests a gap between policy on paper and effective practice on the ground across all government levels.
Okay, so if we take a step back now, look at the whole picture from 2024-2025. How would you rate Uruguay's overall cybersecurity situation?
Well, on paper, Uruguay ranks pretty well regionally in cybersecurity readiness. But these incidents, they reveal real inconsistencies, real vulnerabilities in practice.
Yeah.
That huge jump in reported incidents, it's probably partly better detection, sure, but likely also a real increase in successful attacks hitting weak spots. Communication definitely needs to be more proactive, more transparent to build trust.
And the attackers themselves are changing. More political stuff, AI.
Exactly. We're seeing more hacktivism, more political motives alongside cybercrime. And things like the TVC Haddad attack hint at new tactics using AI. It's an evolving landscape.
Yeah.
These incidents are basically a massive real-world stress test for Uruguay's whole system.
And they're revealing areas that need shoring up.
Definitely. Implementation, resources, response speed, all need improvement.
So, based on everything we've discussed, what are the key things Uruguay should be doing? Strategic recommendations.
Okay, several things jump out. Tech-wise, get DNS-SEC everywhere, finally. Modernize those old legacy systems, seriously. Robust backups and recovery plans. Paysandu is the cautionary tale there. Better access controls, regular independent security checks.
Makes sense. What about communication and coordination?
Clear, standard protocols for disclosing incidents, maybe a central public website for updates, proactive media engagement, and better teamwork between AGESIC, CERTUI, the police, URCDP, and the ministries themselves. More joined-up thinking.
And for people, awareness.
Big time. national awareness campaigns for government staff and for the public. Make everyone part of the defense. And finally, keep funding the strategy, review it constantly, adapt it. The threats aren't standing still.
Right. Each recommendation seems tied directly back to the problems we saw in these cases.
That's the idea. Learn the lessons.
This has been really thorough, a deep dive indeed into a pretty complex and frankly worrying situation for Uruguay. So to wrap up, what are the absolute main points you want people to take away?
I think the key things are, 1, that sharp, significant rise in sophisticated cyber attacks hitting the government. 2, the sheer variety of attackers, different motives, different skills. 3, the real vulnerabilities exposed across many systems. 4, the ongoing challenges with public communication during these crises. And 5, the fact that efforts are underway to strengthen defenses, but there's clearly more work to do. The recommendations offer a path forward.
Okay. So as we finish up, it does leave you thinking, doesn't it? Maybe about how technologies like AI might change cyber conflict even more in the future, both for attack and defense.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe just that constant balancing act, between national security online and our own individual privacy rights in this super connected world.
Yeah.
Definitely gives you something to chew on.
For sure.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.